Hi guys, so in this video we are going to go over the first day of Unit 1, and Unit 1 is just modeling with geometry. And so for the first lesson we are just going to be defining what points, lines, and planes are so that we're all on the same page. In geometry, these are the things that we need. They're undefined terms, but we need them to be able to know what we're doing. So the term point refers to a position in space or just a simple location. And we see it as a dot. And so in a picture, it looks something like this. It's just a dot labeled with the letter. The notation will always be a capital letter, and we just name it by saying point P. It's very small. You see it all the time. It's just kind of like a dot. The second thing that we need to define is a line. And so a line is just a set of points extending in opposite directions. And the important thing to remember is that it never ends. So we distinguish a difference between a segment and a line because a line will have arrows at each end. It goes on in both directions forever without end. So you can see in this picture here, we have A and B on the line, and we also have called it with a little script L. So you can name it in these different ways that we see here. You just literally put a little line on top of it and then put the endpoints of your line. The order does not matter. So you could say line AB, line BA. You don't really need this twice. And then you could also name it with just the script letter L. You'll see all of those different ways throughout this course. So you can say it by saying line AB and line L. Those are two different ways to name that line. A plane is just a flat surface that has no thickness and extends forever. It has no edges, so it's just like a line. It goes on forever, but we have to give it a size because on paper, our paper stops. We don't have an infinite amount of size of paper, so that's where it stops. A lot of times it looks like a parallelogram, and that would be the symbol that you would use. So then you have this plane here where you've got points on it, and then the script letter M. And these should have little parallelograms in front of them, or the script M, plane BAC, it goes on forever. Think about it as a plane is the floor of a classroom or a wall or your desktop. A line is like your pencil on the plane, on your plane, or on your paper. And then a point would just be literally a dot on that space. Okay. So these are some defined terms. So the point, line, and plane are all undefined. They're kind of taken as what they are, but then we need to define things. So space is the set of all points. So if you think about the classroom as the space, the walls as the planes, the desks as the planes, the grid work on the ceiling would be your lines, pencils would be lines, and the space is all of those things together. To be collinear, if you break that word apart, co means with, the linear means line, so with a line, the points that are on the same exact line are what we call collinear points. So this point, and this point are all on the same line, so lines A, B, and points A, B, and C are said to be collinear. You can draw a single line through those 3 points. Non-collinear points are points that are not together. So math here, M, A, T, and H are all, you can't draw one line through all 4 of those points. You can draw multiple lines, but not one. Just like collinear means to be on the same line, coplanar means to be on the same plane. So any points that lie in the same plane, and that goes for other things as well. Any lines on the same plane are coplanar. So if we look at this picture here on the right, we see that C, F, and D are coplanar points. C, F, and D are coplanar points. Can you think of some other points that are coplanar in that figure? And really, you're going to think of any points that are on the exact same plane. So you could say C, P, and F are coplanar. You could say B, A, R are coplanar. You can even say B, A, E are coplanar points because they all lie on the same plane. A, E, B, and D, so I'm going to erase what I did over here. So A, E, B, and D are non-coplanar points. A, B, and E all lie on one plane, but D is not on the same plane. Excuse me, sorry. So since D is not on the same plane, that means that it is not coplanar. So those 4 points are not coplanar points or non-coplanar points. What are some other points that are coplanar? That are not coplanar, sorry. So what are some other points that are non-coplanar points? And you can name a number of points here. You could say C, B, E, and D are all non-coplanar. You could say B, R, P. No, those are coplanar. Sorry, C. Those orange points would be non-coplanar. So any points that are not on the same plane. What is the intersection of the two planes? And that is this line here, PR. It's where the two planes cross each other. Think about a tissue box. The sides of the tissue box are all the planes, and then the edges of your pencil box would be, or tissue box, sorry, would be the lines that are the intersection points. So PR would be the intersection there. Looking down at this bottom picture, line L intersects plane N at the point P. So line L, that's this line here, intersects the plane N, this plane here, at the point P. Line K and point P are in plane N. So since line K and point P are in plane N, that means they are coplanar. Lines L and K do not intersect. And we could see that because they're not coplanar. In order for lines to intersect, they have to be coplanar. Those lines are what we call skew because they are not in the same plane and they do not intersect. So a little bit of review here. 3 undefined terms in geometry. You need to know what these are. And they are what? Point, line, and plane. And this is where it gets tricky, drawing these pieces out. And so in class, we're going to go through this. Some of them are easy to draw and some of them are not. So when we think about drawing point P as contained in lines A and B, that would just mean that P is your intersection point. So if this is line A and this is line B, then point P is the intersection point. Plane M with line C intersecting it is going to look something like this. So here's your plane M. And there's your line C. Point M, not contained in line K, means that you're going to draw line K, and then you are going to have point M off to the side. So the hardest one is the planes A and B intersect. And the best thing I can tell you to do is to kind of draw a plane at an angle and then draw another plane at another angle, but don't necessarily cut them through all the way. And then I think actually, and then you kind of have it there. That's the best I can tell you to do, but then you have A and B. Take a few minutes and do numbers 5 and 6 on your paper, and then check back with me in just a few seconds to see that you did it right. So here I've drawn my pictures. Yours obviously may have looked slightly different. For number 5, the important thing is that all 3 of your points are in a plane. So you need to draw out your plane, your rectangle, whatever it is, and then draw your points on it. Number 6, P and Q are contained in the intersection of planes A and B. You can draw it this way, or you can even draw, you think about drawing like something like this. There's plane, there's your Q, and there's your R. So you can kind of draw it as the edge of a cube if you wanted to. All right, moving right along, write a description of each of the following. So this is just building off of what you just drew. So it's going backwards from what we just did. So for number 7, you would want to write something like line M and N. Actually, you should put those as lowercase. M and N intersect at point P. Okay. So now write your description for 8 and 9, and then come back to check. So number 8 talks about plane A, or shows plane A with line S intersecting at point R. And number 9 shows point B and line K are coplanar in plane R. It's important to note that, and that should be a point there, that point B is not intersecting or on line K, so they're not collinear, but they are coplanar. All right, so we will talk about this some more tomorrow in class, and just make sure that you have kind of read through the notes again before we get to class. Have a great afternoon.